All right, everybody, welcome back to the number one television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Edgar Rice Burroughs, The Warlord of Mars. This is book number 3 in his Martian Tales, his John Carter of Mars series, the Barsoom novels, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if there's an official title for the whole series, but I do have the whole series right here. I think there's 11 books in the series. You can see they look great. Each one of them has a spectacular Michael Whelan painting. And I won't show you all of them, but anyway, trust me, the paintings are seriously dope. And we've got this dope painting on this cover that we're reviewing today. We've got John Carter looking all buff. We've got his pet dog here, and we'll get into that in a second. And all these colorful things going on. And then on the backside, we've got creatures. Just this book is just wonderful. And we'll get into it. It just, as I was reading this, I was just kind of like, wow, this was written in 1913, and just my mind was boggled by just the sheer imagination of someone writing a book in 1913 about Mars, and all of just the cool stuff that this Edgar Rice Burroughs put into this book is just, it blew my mind. I was reading it just in awe of, and I don't know why that struck me. 1913, we're just coming out of the old West and gunfighters and pretty bleak, we hadn't even shot a rocket into space. This guy was, okay, so let's talk about that. What is the concept of this book, of this series? Well, in books 1 and 2, we know that John Carter, basically what Edgar Rice Burroughs has done is taken like a Louis L'Amour Western character and transported that character to Mars. And what I mean by that is Louis L'Amour is a Western writer, Zane Grey. Their main characters were very noble, always good guys, always doing the right. And they were from the Old West, the 1800s. John Carter is like that, and he's from the 1800s. He was a cowboy in the 1800s, transported to Mars, and he becomes a hero on Mars, doing good things and helping the Martians and all of the stuff. That's kind of the basic concept of it, but he's got kind of superpowers. He's kind of like Superman on Mars because of the whole gravity issue. Like he can, which is interesting that in 1913, Edgar Rice Burroughs, like they at least knew that there was probably going to be different gravity on the Mars. Maybe he was guessing. I don't know. There's all questions that I'm like, these are all questions that run through my head when I read a book written over 100 years ago about Mars, and we know so much about Mars now. And this guy was, I don't know if there was scientific data back then about what's going on. That must have been. Or if he was just making it up and it was accurate anyway. So, John Carter in the first couple of books transports through some sort of magical supernatural porter to and from Mars several times. Well, anyway, in this book, you can tell he's on Mars permanently now. It starts out, he's with his dog, which is named Woola the dog, which is right here. This is him. He's like lizard, half dog, whatever. It's a Martian. That's what I'm saying. Every creature in this book, Edgar Rice Burroughs was having a fun time just describing the weirdest thing he could to put in his book, and that was going to be like a Martian, right? Like it's going to be a creature from Mars. The guy was having a blast writing these books, you could tell. The plot is simple. It's a rescue mission. John Carter has to go rescue the damsel in distress on Mars through a series of caverns and other landscapes where, again, Edgar Rice Burroughs is just having fun describing. It's just like whatever idea pops into his head, he's like, I'm going to throw that into this story. and I'll just find a way to describe it. And his writing style is very, very, very descriptive. It's absolutely, I just love these books. In fact, the description in these books, again, remind me of what Louis L'Amour does. In fact, this book inspired me to, after I got done with this, I read a Louis L'Amour novel afterwards, and that's going to be my next review in a couple days on the channel, so look forward to that. This inspired me to read Louis L'Amour. Their writing styles are similar, their characters are similar in their morality and how they deal with situations. And so it's a rescue mission. So for 12 years, John Carter, you know, is between the two, book 2 and this one, it seems like there's been about 12 years have gone by. And John Carter has been separated from his love, Deja Thoris. He must go rescue her from far, far away, far into the north, in the frozen wastes of the polar Mars. And that's another thing, is like, did we know that there were ice caps on Mars back in 1913? I don't know. This is stuff that I'm thinking of. This is stuff that makes me go, what is... Maybe I should research this. I don't know. Edgar Rice Burroughs seemed to think that there were polar ice caps on Mars in 1913. Was that something everybody knew? I don't know. Anyway, let me know. Let me know. If you guys know the history of what we knew about Mars and when we knew it, let me know in there. Because maybe Edgar Rice Burroughs, maybe that was just common knowledge. Maybe every person on the planet in 1913 knew about the polar ice caps on Mars. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Anyway, so he has to go across these frozen wastes in the polar north. And he has to... up there, up in the waste lies the home of the holy Therns. Therns, I think I'm saying that right, a sacred and pure area. Nobody is to approach them or violate this whole thing, and they've got this whole kind of religious thing going on. And so also between John Carter and his love that he has to rescue are lay the bones of the dead, and like there's just so many things going on. And so he just travels through wondrous landscapes and caverns and comes across dynamic creatures, and he's got a few people that, you know, or have been in the previous books that are kind of with him. And it's just a delightful, delightful old tale. I mean, it's so good. I fell in love with this book, and I don't know why. I mean, just the world building that this guy is doing on Mars, just off the top of his head, probably not knowing, like I said, anything about the science of Mars at all. He's just making this stuff up, and he's coming up with all of these things that are on all of these book covers, you know, like gladiator arenas and, you know, just beasts and creatures and sexy women's murder scenes. I mean, it's all just like, it's just so cool. So anyway, The Warlords of Mars, wherever that book is, there it is. I'm giving this a solid 9.5 out of 10. I just loved everything about it.